I'm just a simple defense attorney.
Silence! You are no longer worthy of your title.
Foreshadowing. Ah, good. I finally found it. So, okay, Wellington knocks out Phoenix to take one of the cell phones, and I have a feeling it might connect to his terrible eyesight, plus the fact he doesn't have his glasses, but is that enough to make the fact that he would take the wrong cell phone by mistake believable, more than just the fact that they coincidentally have the same model? Also, name one person in 2017 that uses a cell phone with just a screen and buttons anymore. Wait, a few minutes later? When Phoenix woke up from his nightmare, it was 9:08. You couldn't give me an exact time now? What's wrong? You don't look well. People are at their best first thing in the morning. At their best first thing in the morning? That's debatable. So, this might sound bad, but, who are you? Let's see. This is the second game in a series about an attorney that represents his clients. How are we going to make the tutorial case this time? We can't just have him be a rookie all over again when he's clearly got some experience on him. How about we give him amnesia? Genius! Get to printing right away! Now then, are you ready? What if I said no? Would that be alright?
Of course it wouldn't. Then why even bother asking to begin with?
Maybe because the defense attorney needs to be ready to present his case, and if you're unprepared, that causes problems? Because the defendant is a member of the police, this case is under great scrutiny. If that's the case, why is Winston Payne the most sorry excuse of a prosecutor leading the prosecution? So they're just totally okay with Maggie being my aide despite being the defendant. Yet Maya was not given that kind of treatment when she was on trial for murder. The details are listed in the report that was distributed yesterday.
Yes, this autopsy report, correct?
Why do I not remember getting a copy? I would suggest it to be the same reason you don't remember being an attorney, but you do have the autopsy report in the court record. Have you lost your mind? Well, actually, it's just nerves. Give me a second. Just tell her you don't have your memory, you doofus! Wait, I can't examine my attorney's badge anymore? Those glasses you're wearing. Yes, this is my spare pair. But these glasses they found at the scene of the crime are not mine, I swear, sir. You sure about that? Look, it was a coincidence that on that same day I accidentally stepped on mine. That has to be the wildest coincidence I've ever seen. During his date, the victim was pushed from the bench area, but he managed to write the culprit's name on the ground where he landed. I can understand most people's reaction would be to present the autopsy report, which states broken neck, to the statement about writing the culprit's name on the ground. The rationale is that while the autopsy report doesn't say that death is instantaneous, it is often stated that a broken neck would be enough to counter Gumshoe's statement. But one problem, a broken neck does not always mean instant death. It just means you'd stop breathing and eventually lose consciousness within a minute. Not instantaneous. With that said though, considering the state of the victim, I'd find it hard to believe that even a minute would have been enough time to write the name Maggie in the sand, much less the way he supposedly did. And how do you explain this dying message? It's a conspiracy! I'm not guilty, sir! You're just missing 6 words from your defense. That's not how you spell it! That's why, when you question witnesses, you have to find and expose their lies. I understand if Capcom didn't intend people to play the second game first, but this has to be the worst tutorial I've ever seen. It doesn't even talk about present and press. Heck, a couple of my next sins will showcase even more BS. Now that she mentions it, something does feel kind of off about this picture. That's how you know you found a contradiction. Now hurry up and present some evidence. Okay, real quick here, much like Emma Skye, Maggie doesn't have any spiritual or psychic powers I know of, so why is she reading my thoughts? And this is one of the BS parts I'm talking about. Now you tell me about presenting evidence once I figured out press. But it gets better. She said present some evidence, but is it really evidence I should be presenting? You can also present people's profiles as evidence. Hold the freaking phone. Now you tell me that I could present profiles? Would have been nice to know before throwing me into the cross-examination. That wasn't even something you could do in the first game, except for a few select points and rise from the ashes, but even then, it's been consistent about points where you could either present only evidence or only profiles. Never has there been a case where both evidence and profiles are available at the same time, but then along comes Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Justice for All, granting me all range access to present whatever evidence or profile I darn well please. This seems like it gives me more freedom, but in reality, it just makes the game more stressful. But maybe the victim didn't know how to spell her name correctly. May I remind you that it was you who said the defendant is accused of killing her lover? See, this is why Winston Payne shouldn't prosecute a case where a police officer is being accused of murdering another police officer. Of course this is relevant. That glove is the key to this whole case. Yes! Bluffing to the max! Bluffing indeed. You haven't even seen the glove yet. Officer Prince really liked the color yellow. And that's why you had to special order it? Yep, that's right. That and one other reason. No one cares about your other reason. We'll just have to work it out in the next testimony. It is clear that the victim and the defendant were involved with each other. Yes, that's correct, Your Honor. Now, if that is true, it brings up an important question. Was the name Maggie really written by the victim? Here's a bigger question. What motive did Maggie have to commit the murder? This one requires you to have basic baseball knowledge to point out the contradiction, and to be looking at the actual glove itself. Honestly, I don't think it's too bad, though, not just because I do have basic baseball knowledge. This one goes out to my homies who take issue, though. So, detective, which hand did the victim use to write the name with again? That's easy. Look, it's obvious from this picture that it was... Wait a sec! Don't forget that the victim was left-handed. Do the police not have background checks on their personnel? With Officer Prince being left-handed, that should be raising questions on why his right index finger is near the end of the name. I object! Yeah, that's what I thought, Mr. Payne. Mr. Wright, I would like to know what your line of reasoning proves. What do you think it means, Judge? The victim was left-handed, yet the crime scene looked like he used his right hand to write the message. Obviously, this is fabrication of evidence. That's not all hard to comprehend. All right, you did it, Mr. Wright. Premature celebration. Amnesia? I can't believe my lawyer is trying to defend me in such a state. Why didn't you tell me, sir? Actually, that's a good question. So, my name is Phoenix Wright. What a weird name. Oh, please, you just have to cross-examine someone named Dick Gumshoe. This evidence is not called my business card, even though Phoenix always describes the evidence he has in first person. We agreed to meet up at 6 p.m. Dustin and I waited for the person to show up, but they never did. First of all, if you've heard the voice on the phone, I guess you must have been one of those types of people that doesn't jump straight to assuming gender, even with a man's voice coming from that phone. Second, if that person never showed up while Maggie was with Dustin, that would mean Maggie separated from Dustin sometime before he was pushed to his death. I called you a million times, but you wouldn't pick up! Wait, Maya called Phoenix's number several times? How did Wellington not figure out earlier that he was holding the wrong phone? He couldn't have put it on silent, as we'd later find out when we try calling Phoenix's number. Maya, actually, Mr. Wright is... Mr. Wright, recess is now over. Please bring the defendant and return to the courtroom immediately. Oh, oops, guess we have to get going. We could talk about you being old later, Nick. Wish us luck. But you honestly couldn't sneak in 3 words. Phoenix has amnesia! The prosecution calls its next witness, a drifter who was taking a walk in the park on the day of the murder. Oh, hello there, idiot who gave me amnesia. Sure, I suppose calling me a university student would not be the absolute truth, but to give it and just settle would be as evil as death, and I can't have that. Everything in my life is to be of the utmost, highest, top-grade quality, you understand? I'm merely looking for that perfect, top-notch, unbeatable university, don't you see? I have a rigorous selection process, and I was in serious thought during my walk as... Wow, I bet this guy got his chatterbox personality from his grandma, if indeed they are related. Ugh, I have to question him? No, but this guy's worse than his infernal majesty. That's enough. Your name, witness. Oh, is that how you want to play this? Using your power and influence to keep the young people down? I see how you work now. You old people and your dirty tricks. You thought you had me, but you thought wrong. I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Is that seriously all it took? This judge is a pushover. The only other thing I saw was the banana that fell with the police officer. Even though he got the detail of the item wrong because he didn't have his glasses, you have to admire his attention to detail. Is this Wesley Stickler before Wesley Stickler? I mean, he does claim to just be a university student. That was certainly a decisive testimony. Decisive? Nick, did you hear what he just said? Yup, and I'm in just as much disbelief as you. This is the first we've heard of a banana at the crime scene. You're one of those people! Yes, you know what I mean! You're like those people who refuse to accept Galileo for his Copernican theory. You're too used to your worldview to realize that there are other new possibilities. Sure, in the end, we find out that it is in fact a glove, not bananas. However, when viewed from afar, I do think there's room enough for doubt, don't you? Jeez, for a first culprit, he sure has a lot of dialogue that just screams, hang me. And I'd be happy to oblige if it means shutting your trap. You're like those people who rejected Joan of Arc and put her to death. She was brave and courageous, only to be caught by horrible, unrighteous people. And while she didn't do anything wrong, she was still gruesomely burned at the... Actually, I'm just now beginning to notice what's up with some of the text being read. Maybe it's for important points in his argument, but none of that is important to us if you can miraculously read it all before it auto-skips to the next segment of his line. They must have a lot of free time on their hands since they showed up within 10 minutes. 10 minutes? Isn't Expose Park close to the police department? Why did it take 10 minutes? According to this, the murder occurred at 6:28 p.m. So what of it? You said that you called the police immediately after the murder took place. However, by the time you had called the police, it was already 6:45 p.m. There is clearly a 15-minute gap here. Do you deny it? Yes, because 45 minus 28 equals 17, not 15. Unbelievable. You lose your glasses and your cell phone. You must be very scatterbrained when it comes to your belongings. That's not the only reason he's scatterbrained, though. Haven't you ever heard that all geniuses have a strange quirk or two? So by that rationale, since I have my own quirk, it would mean that I'm a genius. I don't think simple, plain people like you can understand. Yeah, I'm sinning every time he goes off on a tangent. He's like Wendy Oldbag, just more windy. Mr. Wellington, why did you not use the phone that was right in front of you? Oh! Order! Order! Well, what does reporting the crime a little late prove for the defense? Winston Payne was assigned to the trial of a police officer for the murder of a police officer, by the way. As he fell, Dustin Prince grabbed the culprit's glasses. The culprit knew that he had to find his glasses and searched frantically for them. What he didn't realize was that they were under the victim's body. But shouldn't that have been apparent to the culprit if the victim grabbed his glasses? The witness has no motive. And your point is? It's very simple, Your Honor. A person usually would not kill someone without a reason. I'd say that was the smartest thing Payne has said this whole trial, but couldn't we say the same thing about Maggie? She doesn't have a motive either. This is an outrage! An invasion of privacy! Looking up the phone numbers on a person's phone is a worse crime than murder! No, it's not. You're one of those people. You're just like the cops who raided that brilliant artist Maurice Utrillo's atelier. They disrupted the genius at work and interrupted his dialogue with the goddess of... Yeah, go on with your life story. Sheesh, we haven't even nailed him as the culprit yet, and already you've lost your mind. Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Wellington must have left some prints on this phone. Nick, don't you remember? When you got that from Maggie, you wiped it off. I what? You said there was sand all over it, so... Are you kidding? He wiped evidence while he still had his memory? How many times do I have to say this? My phone is right here, you see? Oh, and incidentally, you can't check the number stored on this phone. It must have glitched because all the numbers on it just magically disappeared. Just admit it, you took the wrong phone by accident, and even though you were getting calls from some girl named Maya Fey that you never knew about, not to mention the ringtone was for said girl's favorite TV show, you somehow never figured out that wasn't your phone. Where did you finally find your cell phone? Oh, you are too much! And of course you have no idea what I'm talking about. So you thought as far as saying the cell phone you found was yours and you just stopped right there? You may present one piece of evidence to the court. I only get one shot at this. No, you don't. If you present the wrong evidence, you only lose 3 confidence points. I'm sure you're well aware, Your Honor, but the cross-examination period has ended. Were you paying attention, Mr. Payne? I said that Mr. Wright could present only one more piece of evidence. The judge would be amazing at GameSins. Also, why is Payne even bothering to object here? Why, thank you. How nice. Here, please have one of mine. Funny exchange of business cards and all, but what does it mean that the ink is strong and clear and Phoenix can't read it? I mean, yeah, fancy script, I got it, but this is quite the joke just to say we still don't know what the judge's name is to this day. This has to have been the sound that Wellington heard many times when Maya tried to call his cell phone, and yet he still hadn't figured out that he held the wrong phone. It's not like he put it on silent until he got to the stand, and if it turns out he did put it on silent, why would he turn off the silence while he was in the courtroom even if he did know the phone wasn't his? Why is the mouth flap on while the Bach composition is playing? And in order to hide his involvement with the con artist group, he has become paranoid and has lost all ability to make rational judgments. Paranoia? Got it. Taking the wrong cell phone despite having clearly seen the phone in the man's hands playing your ringtone? I don't buy it. The recess ended at 11:54, but the trial only ended 2 hours and 22 minutes later. Why do the time allotments in the Ace Attorney universe always appear to be overestimated? Since I was 6 months old, when I fell from the 9th floor of my apartment building, I've been hit by all sorts of vehicles, gotten sick from all sorts of foods, failed at almost every test I've ever taken, experienced almost every kind of disaster, and never won or even tied at a game of tic-tac-toe. Is it even possible for a person's luck to be that bad? And at 6 months old, she fell 9 stories? How's she alive? The next time we meet, I'm sure I'll have found a whole ocean's worth of good luck by then, sir. Maggie would then go on to appear 2 more times in the series, and both times she'll get accused of murder again. The judge. He's a lovable, kind old man who is easily swayed by other people's opinions. That's one way to put it.
All the phone numbers on my phone were erased by Mr. Wellington.
Wait, hold on. Does that mean he really did know that he was holding the wrong phone and was lying on the stand? He's still an idiot, though.